Hello and welcome back to Once Upon a Feed. I'm your host Kate Hammerhan, and this podcast is focused on taking old stories and modernizing them into something to relate to in 2025. Today we are diving into a reimagined version of a famous story, Snow White. But this isn't any old Snow White with the poisoned apples and dwarves. This is Snow White, the Instagram era edition, where beauty is currency, filters are dangerous, and the mirror never lies. Let's start with a rewind to the original story of Snow White. It is one of the most famous fairy tales ever told. In a quick recap, Snow was a young girl who was envied for her beauty by her horrible stepmother, the evil queen. The queen constantly asks her magic mirror, "Who's the fairest?" with which the mirror always responds with her, until one day the mirror says, "Snow White." That's when things take a turn for the worse. The queen hires a hitman to kill Snow White. Snow escapes, hiding with the 7 dwarfs. But the queen eventually finds her again. She gives Snow a cursed apple, poisoning her. In the end, a prince saves her with a kiss. At first, it's just a fairy tale, but when you look into it, you can see it's about jealousy, the fear of replacement, and society's obsession with beauty and youth. That obsession is still seen all over the world today, only now the mirror has been replaced with social media. In my reimagined version, the evil queen isn't an actual queen. Instead, she's a beauty influencer who has millions of followers. She works extremely hard at taking flawless selfies and promoting her endless brand deals. Her feed is perfect, but honestly fake. The mirror in the story is now seen as the Instagram algorithm, which is always reflecting who's trending and who's being replaced. And that's where Snow White comes in. Snow White was never trying to be an influencer. She posts unfiltered photos, talks about mental health, and accidentally goes viral for being relatable and real, something people are wanting more of. As Snow's account is blowing up, the queen is losing followers. She goes insane, then unfollows Snow. Then comes a video exposing Snow for supposedly editing her pictures, even though it's not true. The queen starts sabotaging Snow's reputation through DMs, story posts, and fake screenshots. But the queen doesn't stop there. One day, Snow receives a PR package from the queen's brand. It is a sponsored beauty serum, but secretly unsafe. Snow uses it and ends up with a serious skin reaction. That's the modern idea for the poisoned apple. Instead of waiting for a prince, Snow starts a live video explaining the situation, and it goes viral. People unfollow the queen and support Snow, who uses the viral moment to launch a campaign about beauty standards, truth online, and self-worth. Retelling matters because the main issue in Snow White are insecurities, jealousy, and appearance pressure, which are still everywhere, just in new forms. Social media has become a modern mirror. Every post is not always the truth, but more of what people want you to see. The evil queen's obsession with being the prettiest shows how some people will risk others' safety just to stay relevant. By turning the story into a social media-based narrative shows how ancient themes still exist today, especially for young people. It's also a warning about how dangerous it can be when people believe everything we see online, or when people put their fame over empathy. Snow White doesn't need a prince. Instead, she saves herself, and that's a more powerful message for today. Thank you for listening to Once Upon a Feed. I hope this gives you something to think about the next time you scroll through your socials, because sometimes the fairest of them all is just the one who's being real, and not the one with the perfect selfie.